Hello class, welcome to my school. Today we'll be covering the topic of length, mass and capacity. Right, so in this topic we'll recognize these three measurements and also familiarize ourselves with basics of the metric system. Okay, so let's straight dive into it. Right, so for all measurements we usually have two systems. Okay, we have something called the metric system. Okay, and we have another thing called the imperial system. Okay, I'll go through both, but we'll go through metric more in detail. Imperial, I'll just let you know. I'll introduce something to you, but you do not need to know imperial system. What we follow in our calculation or in our syllabus, we'll be doing metric system, which is the more common system. Okay, now let's straight get into this. Okay, so we have a ruler here. Okay, so this might be a typical ruler. You might get up to 12 or up to 15. This is a very basic ruler. And on top here, you can see is your measurement, the scale, and it says right here a little thing here it says cm. Okay, now this is the metric that we're looking at. Okay, so cm, okay, what it stands for is it says centimeter. Okay, so you have centimeter, then you also have something called meter, which is the basic measurement for all of them, and then we also have kilometer. Okay, so this is the metric system. And essentially what is this is that for a kilometer we have an equivalent of 1,000 meter. Okay, and for meter we have, it basically means 100 centimeter. Okay, so that you can see as the measurement is bigger. So if you compare with your ruler, so let's just say you have 1 cm here, alright, a meter would be hundreds of this 1 cm. Okay, in real life you have to pick up your ruler and check. And kilometer would be 1,000 of that meter. So you can see that these measurements get larger, right? So centimeter would be appropriate to measure something like a ruler, a pencil, or something a bit small, right? A meter would be good to measure something like your height, right? A person's height. So for example, let's just say I'm going to draw a stick man right here, right? You would get you would use it to measure someone's height, right? This will be appropriate to use meter. Okay, for kilometer, typically you would use it for a distance, or a really long distance. So if let's just say I'm driving from one point to another point using a car, or I'm flying somewhere, usually we will use kilometer. Okay, so these are just three metric units that you will use for measurement. Alright, so I'm going to quickly introduce to imperial. Okay, so you see at the bottom here, bottom of the ruler, we have an inch. Alright, so in imperial we have something called inch, we have feet, and we have yard and mile. Okay, so if you talk about equivalence in this system, centimeter and inch works about the same. Meter and feet or yard works about the same, and kilometer will work similar to mile. Okay, but they're all different in measurements. Okay, you don't need to know the measurements, but I'm going to just write it down here. Okay, so 1 feet will equals to 12 inch. A yard will be 3 feet. It's a bit weird. And a mile will be 1760 yard. Okay, right, you don't need to remember this because we'll be following the metric system, but I'm just showing you the other system that you might come across these type of measurements. Okay, so I'm going to also write here. Okay, so this one will be cm, this will be in short m, and this is km. Okay, then we go into mass. Okay, so mass we would use in metric, we would typically use two of them, which is gram and kilogram. Okay, one good way to gauge how many kilogram, or to know what is one kilogram, is a pint of milk. A liter of milk. So if you have a liter of milk, a typical 1 liter of milk has to be milk. One is actually around 1 kg. So if you ever want to gauge weight of things, this is actually 1 kg. Remember, 1 liter of milk is approximately 1 kilogram. So if you ever want to know what it is. Okay, so how do we use, what do we use? So grams are typically things that are really small. Okay, so for example, if I want to measure the weight of a book or paper, Okay, a coin. So for example, a coin or rice, flour, something very small, we would use gram. Okay, anything beyond that, so anything that's bigger, usually you will use kilogram. So for example, let's just say I wanna my weight, so a human someone's weight. Okay, sorry. Okay, body weight, you use kilogram. What else? We could say when we're lifting, let's just say a guitar, something's big, could be a kilogram, or a sack of rice, like in a pack of rice. You use kilogram because they're too big, so you typically will write it in kilograms. So let's say, for example, right, my body weight, let's just say, is about 80 kg. So I'm just gonna quickly write here. Okay, we have 80 kg as my weight. Okay, in grams, this would be 80,000 grams. It's a very big number, so we simplify it and use the kilogram to write a simpler number. Okay, now since I'm getting into this, now what is a kilogram essentially is 1,000 gram. This is a conversion. Okay, now the conversion part, you don't have to worry yet, because we'll get into another topic with full conversion system, but if you can remember it, it'll be good. Then we also have the imperial measurement. Again, just to introduce, we have two different ones. We have ounce and we have pound. Okay, pound has a common use as well, so we could use that. So a pound is basically 16 ounces. That is a bit weird. Alright, now lastly we have capacity. Alright, capacity in metric we will use liter. So usually you'll write it like that, or milliliter. Okay, so I'm gonna write, just liter or liter. Okay, so how you compare, how you know how much is a liter, how much is a milliliter. Alright, I've put some diagrams here. Now a can of Coke typically is around 33 milliliter. Okay, and then you have bottles of water here. So the common bottles of water you'll see or you'll buy in shops is usually these two, right? So you have a can, which is 330 milliliter, and then you have a bottle of water, which will usually be 500 milliliter, and then the larger one will be 1,500 milliliter. Okay, so this is a few ways of, I guess, gauging what the capacity is. Now a capacity basically functions for liquid, so anything liquid measurement you would use capacity. For weight or mass you would use grams or kilograms, so they're just weight or mass or something, but when it's liquid you would use capacity or liter or milliliter as your unit. Okay, so conversion wise, 1 liter is basically 1000 milliliter. Okay, now in imperial we have several as well. Just introduction. Imperial we would have let me just ounce and gallon. We have pint as well, but let's talk about ounce first. We have what we call liquid ounce, and we have pint, and we have gallon. They're quite weird. Right, so 1 pint would be equivalent to about 19.2 ounce. So ounce, this is a symbol, OZ, and 1 gallon would be about 6.66 pint. Okay, you can see the numbers are very complicated, so we can ignore this. I'm just introducing it to you. Alright, so we've gone through 3 different measurement types, and there are metric units which you will need to know, because when we write something, so I'm going to quickly take the time to show. Right, when we write some measurements, so let's just say the swimming pool is about 1.5 meter deep. Okay, so we'll write the measurement here with the meter, or I am 80 kg, we'll write with the kg so we know what it is. Capacity would be like, oh, I drank 8 liters of water today. Okay, so sometimes we'll do measurements. For example, let's just say as I say, I'm supposed to run for 1 kilometer, right? But I ran only for 300 meter as an example, and then I asked myself what is the distance I did not run. Okay, so I ran for 300 and 1 kilometer is what I'm supposed to run, so how much is the distance? So 1 kilometer converted to meter is 1000 minus 300, so the distance that I didn't run would be 700 meter. Okay, so this is like normal addition subtraction. The only difference here is that we'll have a unit here where we may need to convert according to the usage. Okay, it's important to know these